Thanks so much for having us. Dan asked us to do a quick presentation. I think it's right around 10 minutes, and then we can do a Q&A. The purpose of this is to share with you our programming that has been pretty effective in increasing literacy rates across the islands in Tonga. And hopefully we're able to add value today for this lunch meeting. Again, thanks for having us. So, are you guys able to see my screen? Okay. So third goal, give you a quick overview of Tonga. It is in the Polynesian Triangle, and its culture and language is more closely aligned with Hawaiian and the Maori in New Zealand. Tonga is made up of 4 main island groups. So I served on the main island of Tongatapu. Chiara was in Ewa, so that's the Tongatapu group, and 80% of Tongans live in those 2 islands. And then you have the Hapai group in the middle, Vava'u towards the top, and then you have the Niuas at the top right hand of the map, and that's actually closer to Samoa than the main island of Tonga, and they actually have a different language up there. So we haven't been able to reach the Niuas yet, but we are across every other island group in Tonga. There's 170 islands, 36 are inhabited across 290 square miles, but when you put all of the land together, it can fit in Prince George's County in Maryland. So fun fact there, and it is the highest proportion of farmable land in the world. So 75% of Tonga is farmable. So next time you guys are on Jeopardy, and if that ever gets asked, there you go. You have that in your back pocket.
So we introduced ourselves a little bit already, but I'm Chiara Collette. I'm the program manager and co-founder of Friends of Tonga. Michael serves as the president and is also a co-founder. We served from 2012 to 2014 in Tonga, and we, since returning to the States, have both gotten my master's in TESOL, Michael his PhD in public policy, which has helped inform where we've gone with Friends of Tonga as well.
And this is a photo of our Sapate Uluwaki. So we went back for our honeymoon, and it's the first Sunday, and we were able to get married in my village of Fahefa. I say it's mine like I own it, but it's
where you served.
Where I served. The origins of Friends of Tonga. We co-founded Friends of Tonga in 2018 because Cyclone Gita hammered our islands of Tongatapu and Ewa. It was the worst weather event to make landfall in the last 60 years. And there's really no opportunity to provide disaster relief. And we quickly realized that if we did want to help support our communities, then we would probably have to build that plane in midair. And Baker and the NPCA were really, really instrumental in the early days of Friends of Tonga. We would not be an organization without the NPCA, so thank you so much for all of the support. Disaster relief is a tricky nut to crack, and we realized maybe we wanted to be more proactive with disaster relief. It's a very reactionary program, right? A weather event has to occur, and then you have to pull the funds. And we decided maybe we wanted to focus on more sustainable projects, and education seemed like the way to go. We were English language facilitators as Peace Corps volunteers, and we already had those connections back in Tonga. And we started off with a scholarship program, and we funded 50 scholarships to date now. And then we started moving into other literacy programs. Chiara was a teacher for 3 years and got her master's in TESOL, and all of our programming has been founded in literature and best practices, and it's been really rewarding to be able to implement our academic careers into where the rubber meets the road. She has overseen all of our programming, so I'm going to let her take it away. Yeah.
Right, so I'm just going to share a little bit about our Read Aloud program, our video library. This was what we were actually recognized for by the Library of Congress. So we initially decided that or recognized that there was a need in Tonga for books, for children's books specifically. There's a lack of resources, lack of access to different books. There's not really a place to store books, and if they are, as many of you know with traveling around the South Pacific, they get moldy and gross pretty quickly. And it costs a lot to send books. So we wanted to find a way to be able to reach a wider range of people instead of just one community that these books might reach, that all Tongan students, parents, and teachers would be able to access. English is the second language in Tonga, the official second language, and is required for students to be able to attend high school, attend tertiary school, go on to work in the government or overseas. So it's really crucial for students to have to be proficient in English to be able to succeed. So we wanted to give students the opportunity to hear fluent English speakers reading stories. This also caters to the Tongan oral storytelling tradition. It's pretty common in Tonga and the South Pacific in general for stories to be told orally. And so by having these read alouds, it really links to that tradition. And lastly, we wanted to be able to improve reading comprehension. We want students to be able to understand what they're reading so they're able to succeed as they go on to high school and beyond. So to start this program, we wanted to make sure that we had permission from all authors to record their videos. Right now, you can go on YouTube any day of the week and there's all sorts of read alouds, but they don't necessarily have the author's permission to be recording those stories. So we wanted to make sure that the authors were a part of it. And we've had a great response from many authors to share our books. I'm actually going to put in the chat the link to the video library so you can take a look and peruse. And you'll see on there actually that some of the authors recorded videos themselves instead of having our volunteers read and record, because they were excited to be a part of the program.
This also fills one of the ways to reach the outer islands. There is a social stratification in Tonga. The majority of the resources are in the main island of Tongatapu, especially the capital of Nuku'alofa. If you have a smartphone, which many Tongans now do, and with the advent of high-speed internet in 2013, they ran a cable underground from Fiji and linked it to Tonga, and every island group now has high-speed internet. You can download any book that you want along with the resources attached to it. And we used a software called Adobe Spark. It's free. You can take pictures of the book pages and you're able to not only reduce the audio file or the total file to download. I think Silkstart has a 16 megabyte max, which is a pretty good constraint to have. It's not a lot to download. With a traditional video, a 7-minute story, that could be upwards of 280 megabytes, which would be a lot of data for local Tongans to actually purchase and download. Every video is under that 16 megabyte mark and makes it accessible for all island groups. And we've had a lot of educators and parents use and download our video resource library or video resources. And this is an example of a video.
Hi, I'm Jana Jallo, and today I'll be reading Big Blue Whale by Nicola Davies, illustrated by Nick Melland and published by Candlewick Press.
So the beginning is an introduction.
Big Blue Whale by Nicola Davies. For every blue whale alive today, there were once 20. People hunted and killed so many of them that fewer than 10,000 remain. Now blue whales are protected and hunting them is banned. So in some places their numbers are growing, very, very slowly. Still, you could sail the oceans for a year and never see a single one.
What's really cool about it, with the dubbing over the photos, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but you can actually zoom in on your smartphone and be able to read along. It's also, you don't need internet connection to download it, or you need internet connection to download it, but once you have that file, you're able to share it offline to however many people you want through thumb drives, through text, however you want to share it. You don't actually need to have that internet connection.
Hi, I'm Jana Jallo, and today I'll be reading Big Blue.
That's a Read Aloud program. Our other program, or one of our other programs that we're really excited about, is our Pen Pal program. The goal for this program is to be able to connect students in Tonga and students overseas. So currently we have 242 students in 8 different schools participating in the US, Australia, and Tonga. Our goal really for this is for Tongan students to have meaningful writing practice, as letter writing is a component that is in that Class 6 exam that they're required to take to be able to get to high school. We wanted to make sure they weren't just memorizing how to write a letter, but we're getting some meaningful writing practice and learning how to actually write a friendly letter. And it gives students in the States, in Australia, and in Tonga the chance to learn about a culture that's different to their own. So with this program, we run it by introducing the program to the classrooms. As you can see, sometimes Michael and I go into the classrooms. This is a school here in Maryland, and introduce the program that way. Some teachers introduce it themselves if they have a connection to Tonga. I've also attended classrooms virtually to introduce the program. And we also create materials so teachers are able to use that in their classroom to introduce it themselves. The goal is to have 6 letters exchanged per year. It's a little bit difficult, and this is something we're working towards just because of the different calendar years in the States versus Tonga. That makes it a little bit difficult. FOT also provides resources for participating teachers and creates materials based on what their needs are. For example, this kindergarten classroom was doing a unit on transportation, so we created resources for them based on transportation in Tonga, and they learned about all the different ways their pen pals got to school in the morning. So it's been a very fun and rewarding program to get to connect Tonga and to have students in other places learn about Tonga as well.
It's also important to note that all of these programs, Tongans can opt into it. We're really not interested in being, Palangis or white people in the United States telling Tongan educators what they should be doing. So having that component, and then also we have a quarter of our board are Tongan members now, and they've been able to help guide our programming and introduce us to the wider Tongan community, not only in Tonga, but also in Australia and New Zealand, and have a more collaborative approach to programming. We had a wonderful meeting with the CEO of the Ministry of Education in Tonga, and they promised to actually link our video resource library to the Ministry of Education's webpage, so all Tongan educators can have access to our videos, and then also thinking about ways to expand our pen pal programming to support the Class 6 exam. We're still in talks with that, and Peace Corps Tonga has been an incredible stakeholder, and we've been working with them with our programming as well. Our last education program is building earthquake and cyclone resistant early childhood education centers. We were a little hesitant to jump into building projects, but when we went back to Tonga during our honeymoon, we were approached by the community of Taonga, where Chiara served. It's actually a cool little time circle that we've just closed the loop on. The teacher, Finau, who's in the top right photo, worked years to get the first kindergarten in Iowa up and running, and got it up and running in 2017. January of 2018, Cyclone Gita destroyed it. When we went on our honeymoon in June of 2018, we found that the students were learning out of a UNICEF tent. They asked us if we could help. We said yes, and thus embarked a 3-year initiative to rebuild the Tonga kindergarten. And we've made fantastic partnerships with Schools for Children of the World. It's a nonprofit that we're actually friends with the CEO of, who runs this nonprofit of architects and engineers and develops state-of-the-art early childhood and school centers around the world. They went in after the earthquake in Haiti and actually built quite a few schools after that earthquake, and they agreed to partner with us. And we broke ground in June of 2020, and we completed the project in June of 2021. It's a sustainable model. One thing is everyone had to have a little piece, some skin in the game. So the local community donated the land. They provided sweat equity in building it. And we fundraised, Schools for Children of the World fundraised, and a local contractor built the school, and we oversaw it via Facebook Messenger. COVID happened, and that was actually why it took a year to complete building. But it is the first earthquake and cyclone resistant early childhood education center in all of Tonga. And we've been asked by 2 other communities if we could build similar projects, and we are in talks with them in Schools for Children of the World and the Rotary Club, and trying to think of ways to engage more local communities and local organizations to get that up to scale. We're really, really proud of this, and hopefully we're able to make it into maybe a school every 2 years. But that is the Tonga Kindergarten Project. And we also were able to get actual early childhood education furniture in Tonga. So the top right hand photo it seems like a teacher's teaching children, but that's actually like the first student-centered early childhood furniture in Tonga. Typically it's wooden benches, teacher-centered, everyone's looking at a blackboard or a wall. It's really, really cool to be able to actually have materials and furniture to facilitate early childhood education. Programming impacts. Every school that opted into our video resource library and our Pen Pal program had an average increase of 10 percentage points, or 33%. The sample Fahefa, Tufuvai, and Kolonga, these are all outer island or rural villages on the main island, and it's incredible to see. This isn't a scientific analysis, but it's really cool to be able to see that we impacted average test scores. With our video resource library, we have 83 videos and resources. We're hoping to have 100 by the end of this year. And then the goal is to have 1 video for each day of Tongan school. So I think it's like 220 days of school. So that's the goal of getting that many videos. It's been accessed by over 100 Tongan educators and countless parents. With our Pen Pal program, cumulatively, we've reached 14 individual classrooms across 10 schools, and we have had a total of 450 participants across multiple countries participate, which is pretty awesome. And that's our spiel. We're happy to talk about the Library of Congress, the application process. I think that other NPCA affiliated groups would have an awesome opportunity to be selected for future years. Happy to talk about that. Happy to talk about any of our programming projects